Welcome to Center for Executive Coaching Alumni Interviews. I'm Andrew Neitlich, founder and director of the Center for Executive Coaching. Today, I'm delighted to be speaking with Orvel Ray Wilson. Orvel, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thanks. Why don't you take a minute, just tell us a little bit about your practice?
Well, let's see. After 37 years on the international circuit as a professional speaker, I now coach other speakers and authors who want to do that.
Terrific. So,
have you ever heard the term guerrilla marketing?
As a matter of fact, I have, as the author of 3 books coming after you. I know it well.
I was one of the authors of that series, along with you and Jay Levinson and Seth Godin and a handful of other people.
Great. What were the titles of some of your books?
Guerrilla selling was the flagship, but we also did guerrilla negotiating, guerrilla teleselling, guerrilla trade show selling, guerrilla retailing, guerrilla marketing remix. I have 9 chapters in that book out of 22. So, yeah.
Good. So, what do you like most about coaching?
Not living in hotels and airports. I have enough frequent flyer miles to get on the next Mars mission. So, I just turned 63. I live on a ranch in the mountains in Colorado, and looking out the windows at the wildflowers right now, I just don't want to go anywhere.
Great. So coaching makes that possible.
That's
perfect.
Right.
How has your practice evolved then since you started and up to what you're doing now?
Wow. Well, I started coaching about 9 years ago in 2007. I was helping a neighbor with his roof, and I took a bad fall and broke my back. Spent 6 months in an electric wheelchair, and my colleagues in NSA came out of the woodwork. They said, "Can we help? Can we? We'll lick stamps, we'll make calls, we'll go do the gigs for you, give you the money." I said, "Man, but I could use some company. I live in a pretty remote area in the mountains." And so they came up and they hung out, and we, as people are wont to do, we started talking business. And after a few months, people started asking, "Well, how much would you charge to continue coaching me?" And I said, "What, coach? I haven't been coaching you." "Well, yeah, I've like doubled my practice and so far, and it's really helpful. So you got years off my learning curve." And so I realized that a lifetime of experience was actually worth something. About 2 years ago, I got involved with the International Coach Federation chapter here in Denver. Signed up for the Center for Executive Coaching, which is how I met you, and went through that program to get a certification for the professional coach credential, and here I am today.
So you're saying a bad accident actually led to your discovering that you're a great coach and everything that you're doing now?
That's, well, great coaches might be an exaggeration, but I certainly wouldn't use that moniker, although others have. Thank you. So yeah, the practice has evolved from just working with the speakers that I knew locally to speakers nationally. I started getting invited to speak to NSA chapters around the country. I actually have been a regular on that circuit for a long time, but developed some new material for that circuit. And now most of the clients I work with are long-term. They're writing a book and turning it into a keynote and expanding it into a workshop, and then blowing that out into a seminar, and then online courses, and that whole arena. I work in 3 areas: content development, presentation literacy, and of course marketing. And those are the 3 legs of this tool that holds up any speaker's, author's, thought leader's professional practice.
So I know when we speak, one of the things that I really admire about you is that your practice is usually quite full. So given that, what advice would you have for other coaches, especially those who might be newer or those who are thinking about getting into the field?
I would say constantly work at keeping a pipeline of potential clients open and full. So, constantly keep asking the question, who else can I serve? Who else can I serve? Who else can I serve? I had 3 people drop out of my practice in the last couple of months. Maybe drop out is the wrong verb. After working for a year, they've completed their book. One of them just got his first paid speech, a $10,000 fee for a national, first time out, 10 grand. And his book has taken off like a rocket sled. I have a 3rd client who's just finishing up his book, and he has added, increased his practice by $350,000 over the last year, more than doubled his business. So, you know, if you do a good job as a coach, people become, you know, it's like fledging the birds from the nest, at least in my case. And so you constantly have to be looking for new clients that you can serve.
Great. So how do you do? It seems like the way you do that is you're out there and you're educating people. You're being visible.
Yes, that's exactly right. I speak at 4 or 5 NSA chapters every year. Typically, I come in as a headliner and do a 75-minute keynote about how to sell from the stage as a professional speaker, not only books and other products, but how do you get people to flock to the stage to engage you for high-dollar coaching and consulting work, which is the side of the bread that really has the butter on it. And then I do a 3-hour deep dive lab in the afternoon for anyone who wants to participate. Those speakers get to come to the stage and tell their own stories and get spot coached. And from there, I offer anyone an hour complimentary if they want to schedule it. That sets up an intake interview, and then, you know, if they've gotten value from all of that, and they always do, then we have a conversation about how they might continue that work.
Good. Well, I'll tell you, there's some clear advice in there too that's embedded. One is you have a really clear sales funnel. You know what happens after you speak to bring them in. 2, you're focused on a very clear niche market. And 3, you don't just do coaching. You have books. You have other services that you offer. So with all of that, any other advice that you would offer?
Ask more questions.
So what do you mean by that?
The trap I fall into is the expert fallacy blind spot. You know, you become. My racket is the smartest guy in the room, and so I really have to caution myself against, you know, telling clients, well, you ought to do it this way or you ought to do it that way, unless they ask a direct question. You know, well, you know, should this chapter be first or second, or, you know, if it's something direct and technical, or what kind of microphone should I buy? Yeah. But for the most part, at least in my, if you're like me, and I know I am, I have a tendency to want to advise rather than coach, and that's a really important distinction to keep in mind.
Fantastic. Orvel Ray, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. It's a pleasure working with you.